Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 action sequel, The Expendables 4. The film is directed by Scott Bourne and it stars Jason Statham, Sylvester Stallone, 50 Cent, Megan Fox, Dolph Lundgren, Tony Jaa, Iko Uwais, Andy Garcia, Randy Couture, and so on and so forth. Right. This is the fourth entry into the Expendables franchise. The last one was about 9 years ago, I think, Expendables 3. This time round, this is, without spoiling things, this is more of a solo film for Jason Statham's Lee Christmas. After a mission that goes wrong early on in the film, Jason Statham's Christmas kind of goes off on his own to track down those responsible for the mission going sideways earlier in the film, which means him kind of making his way onto a ship and taking out the bad guys, obviously with the backup of his Expendables crew. Right. What are my thoughts on Expendables 4? Well, I don't want to say an awful lot in regards to the story and the plot, really, because I don't want to spoil it. My overall feeling in regards to this film is it is pretty poor, actually. I was quite desperately disappointed with this. Now, I'm not what you would describe as like the biggest fan out there of the Expendables franchise. I certainly enjoyed the first three films. I know the third one gets quite a lot of hate because they tamed down the violence and what have you in that one, but I still enjoyed that. I didn't think it was too bad at all. The big selling point they had for this one in the trailers was that the R rating was back and the violence and the gore and the blood was back. Okay. It is, I suppose. It's more violent than the third one. Is it better than the third one? Not a chance. No. This is almost like a skeleton crew of Expendables. You know, the only ones really that return is you've got Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, Stallone, and Statham. The rest of them are new. We've got 50 Cent now. Again, okay. He's not exactly an action legend, is he? 50 Cent. Andy Garcia kind of taking on the Bruce Willis and Harrison Ford role in previous films, you know, like the handler, I suppose, that give them the missions. You've got Megan Fox, part of the crew. Yes, I know, I'm not lying. We have Megan Fox, part of the crew as well. And obviously Stallone and Statham return, but if you're going into this film a fan of Stallone's, you're probably going to be desperately disappointed because you could really only say his part in this film is little more than a cameo. Yeah, he's not in the film a great deal. This is essentially a Jason Statham vehicle. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because I like Jason Statham. He's a great action star, and he does shine a little bit in this film. Because he's the biggest star in the film, really. But he's not given a great deal to work with here. The dialogue is really terrible. The action scenes are passable. Some of the fight scenes are pretty decent, I'm not going to lie. Obviously well choreographed. I mean, you've got obviously Statham, who's an accomplished martial artist. You've got Iko Uwais, who's the main villain, and you've got Tony Jaa. I mean, right there, those two are two of the best martial arts movie stars in the world. So you would expect some of the fight scenes in particular will stand out and be watchable, and they are. But the rest of the action scenes feel very tired and unoriginal, and they just don't have any real impact at all, really. Any of the deaths that take place in the film of characters that you know have very little impact at all, really. And the ultimate reveal as to who the main villain is, that is pulling the strings of Iko Uwais as strings, sort of thing. you'd have to be a bit daft to not figure that out, really. It's fairly obvious within the first half an hour who that's going to be. So they don't even give you any real surprises. Highlights for me in the film, Statham, I think, was great. For the most part, obviously, he's very, very slick now, and he's a very accomplished action star. I actually quite enjoyed Dolph Lundgren. Again, he's not given anywhere near enough to do in this film. They've hinted at his personality in previous films, and in this one, he's kind of given up the booze. He's trying to live a clean life, and then there's quite a fun scene at the end where he kind of throws in the towel, and we get the old Dolph back, if you like, or the old Gooner back. But, you know, there's no Terry Crews this time around. There's no Jet Li. There's no Arnie making an appearance. There's no Snipes. There's no Harrison Ford. There's no real interesting additions here at all. To make this a little bit exciting to watch, you know, like most of the other Expendables, the whole concept was, you know, to get action stars from past and present together and making a film. And this doesn't feel like it. It feels, I mean, it's just been released, but it already feels out of date. It feels old-fashioned. And it's not a lot of action films. You can just click your brain off and just enjoy what's in front of you. And this one, it kind of frustrates you and gets on your nerves a little bit because it just feels so old-fashioned and cliched. And the one-liners just don't hit. None of them at all hit. Okay, there's some decent chemistry still between Stallone and Statham. There's a fun scene in a bar at the beginning where they have Eddie Hall, previous World's Strongest Man, in there. While it was fun, that bar scene, they completely misused Eddie Hall. He should have had a much bigger role as a real henchman and a real threat, and they kind of make fun of him, really. And I'm just going to say this, right? We've had Dolph Lundgren, Randy Coulter, all these people in the film from the first, in these films from the first film, and then you've got scenes in this film near the end with Megan Fox giving orders, and honestly, it's like someone popped a balloon or something. It's just like, what are you doing? You know, why would they listen to her? She's not earned their respect. She's not earned our respect as audience members. And she's really there to be the love interest for Statham. And she has a few interesting scenes with a gun going bang bang, I suppose. But it's just terribly cliched, this thing. And don't get me wrong, I like brainless action films for the most part. But it's just disappointing. I think it's time to put this franchise to bed, if I'm honest. Unless they could do something drastic, you know what I mean? And bring in some real fresh talent. You know, I don't know, get Keanu Reeves in there or something like that. You know, get stars like that back into this franchise to make us want to go to the cinema to watch. Because let's be honest, did any of us really want another Expendables film? I would argue not. But if you were going to bring it back, you needed to bring it back, and so we'd all kind of raise an eyebrow like, oh, look who they've got in this one this time. There's none of that in this. None of it at all. There's no excitement to anybody that's been added to this film. And it is essentially just, like I say, a Jason Statham vehicle. So in every aspect, it's a disappointment, I suppose, this film. And I don't recommend it, especially if you're a massive fan of the first three films. You're probably going to come out shaking your head and wondering where they went wrong with this one. Let's hope that's it for now. I have heard that it's going to be the first of another trilogy of Expendables films. If it is, please, please, please do something special for the next one, because this one is probably going to flop hard, I am guessing. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I will be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.